company. And just an FYI, Galen is owned by two publicly traded companies. And Dr. Rajan is also a former health columnist for The Star, The Edge, just to name a couple. And he's been featured in many magazines. So Dr. Rajan, thank you so much for putting these bi-weekly calls together to keep us all in the loop. And the audience is all yours. So good morning. Dr. Rajan, are you there? Oh,
yeah.
Perfect. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning, Asia, Australia. Good evening, Rena, and North America. It's great to be on this call. Before I bring on Dr. Joe, Rena, do you want to just quickly run by that promo that just ended last month? Because there's been a popular demand. And we're going to extend the promo by another 2 weeks on the 15th of May. Rena, you want to announce the promo again?
Yeah, so right now we've got, I'm just opening it up here. So we've got two promos. So the promo number one is if you sponsor, so these are people that are already distributors. If you sponsor a gold distributor who buys 10 bottles of Emulin E, so please note that this is only for Emulin E. You will get 50% more business volume, so 600 BV instead of 400 BV. And the new distributor, your brand new distributor, will also get 2 free bottles of Emulin E. So that's a win-win-win for everyone. Promo 2 is if you sponsor a platinum distributor that purchases 20 bottles of Emulin E. Again, this is just for Emulin. It's not combined with the Climax. You will get 50% more BV, so 1,200 BV instead of the 800 BV. And your new distributor will get 5 free bottles of Emulin E. That's incredible, especially when you've heard the testimonies and have experienced it yourself. So that's the promo. You should have received it in your email as well.
Right. So we're going to extend this by 2 more weeks by popular demand, right? So it'll go on till the 15th of May.
Wow. Perfect. Okay. I will make a note of that and let everyone know. Thank you. That's amazing.
Okay. So before I bring on Dr. Joe, let me just introduce to him. I got to know Dr. Joe about 4 years ago. He had worked on this range of products, which he called Carbohydrate Manager. It sounded interesting. I tried the product. I liked it. So I went to Winter Haven in Orlando to meet him. And I remember him telling me that, if this was invented 50 years ago, it would be a vitamin. And, after trying this product and sharing this product with so many people, I agree with Dr. Joe. So, Dr. Joe, can I bring you on? Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. I hope that the connection is clear. How is it?
Very good. I understand you're in New York now.
Yes, I just got through with a talk here. Actually, the conference is going on right now as we speak. And boy, there's a lot of people here that are on the bandwagon. It looks like a revival here with these people, and they're getting the message. And I would like to say right off the bat, Dr. Rajan, that everybody says, by popular demand, we're going to extend the offer. And because, sale ends today, but we're going to give it another couple of days. That's easy to say. But I actually heard that all day today, that people did have a popular demand. They actually were saying, man, come on, let's get this going. We can roll this business out. I hope you will extend that. So I just want to back that up, that it's really true. It's from the result of popular demand.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joe. Yeah, go ahead.
You know what we're talking about here in this conference? Can you guess what we're talking about? It's carbohydrates, carb crisis. This is really crazy. So last night also I gave a talk, and I actually went through about how the carbohydrates are in our diets, and we're eating too much sugar. And there are actually several medical doctors in the audience, and they just didn't agree with me. And so I sat down with them and said, look, here's the deal. 1700, the average consumption of refined sugar was just a couple of pounds, a couple of kilograms, 5 pounds. Then by 1800, it had gone up to 4 times that amount. And in 1900, we were starting to eat like 40 kilograms a year. And now in 2016, the last year for which we have numbers, we're eating just about 200 pounds, 90 kilograms of refined sugar a year. How is that possible? Everyone says, I don't eat that much sugar, but it escapes them where the sugar is coming from. A carbohydrate is actually sugar. When you hear the word carbohydrate or carb, it's just like saying glucose or table sugar, because the smallest piece of sugar is called glucose. It's a carbohydrate, and the smallest one is called glucose. You put a couple of these units together, 2 stuck together, that's like table sugar. Everybody recognizes that, the white stuff you got on your table and you put in the stuff in coffee and teas. But then there's also, here's where the confusion comes in, starches. Starches are just a bunch of sugars put together on a chain, just like pearls on a string. And that's called starch. They easily and readily break down in the mouth and in the stomach into the individual sugar. So what does that mean? Well, another name for starch is flour. Another name for flour is bread. No matter what kind of bread it is, wheat bread, whole wheat bread, refined white bread, baguette, these are all flour, starches. They're basically pure sugar. Your body cannot tell one from the other. The use of the breakdown is so quick that it immediately becomes sugar and goes right into your bloodstream. I don't know if you remember this, Dr. Rajan, but the test for a sugar challenge is, and then where you eat sugar and then you measure the blood in the bloodstream and see how much sugar got in the blood and how quick. They actually don't use table sugar. They use a piece of bread. So bread substitutes for sugar. And, you know, one bread is a wheat bread. That's not much different than actually white bread. They're just, the body cannot recognize one from the other. And then we finally have cellulose. Again, that's a carbohydrate. It just means that, again, long chains of sugars. But these are put together in a way that we don't digest them. And this is what dietary fiber is. So when you look on a package, and it tells you, how much, how many calories are here, and how much carbohydrate. It breaks the carbohydrates, the carbs, down into sugars and dietary fiber. So you start looking at that, and you'll see the bread, the starches. They're all sugar. There's no extra line in there for bread. It's classified as a sugar. Well, I'm sorry. I've got further bad news for you. What is also a sugar are grains. Grains are seeds. And inside a seed is a sugar source for a plant to grow its seed. This means that rice, wheat, even oatmeal, they're all sugar. Now, some of these grains do have more dietary fiber in them than others, for sure. Oatmeal is one of them. Nevertheless, the majority of it is just sugar. You say, well, it doesn't taste sweet. It doesn't matter. It's not about your tongue. It's about your stomach. And inside your stomach, it's sugar. Then also beans. Yes, I'm sorry. Beans are mostly sugar. They're seeds. And then pasta. Pasta is a grain that's been mashed up and added water to it to make what we call pasta. So let's go back and review that just a minute, and you'll see why is there a carb crisis. We're eating 200 pounds of refined sugars a year, and that doesn't even count the beans, the rice, doesn't even count those. If you add on top of that any sodas you're drinking, things of that nature, that's even worse. We are totally awash in carbs, in sugar. The reason it is really a crisis, though, is because these are refined carbs. All the good things have been stripped out of these flours, and especially the white sugar. That then you take bread and you put some sugar in with the flour. It's sugar into sugar, and I like ice cream and these type of things just as much as the next person. But I got to recognize that this is really contributing to the carb crisis. What happened in my company is that we discovered the reason this is such a crisis is in nature. When you do take some sugar, like the sugar that's in a pineapple, the sugar that's in a mango, the sugar that's in grapes, along with this sugar, nature has provided a sugar chaperone. These sugar chaperones are just like vitamins. They help sugar metabolism. They cause the sugar to go where it needs to go, stay out of fat tissue, get into muscle, get into the brain. You don't have these sugar chaperones. You just get sugar with sugar chaperones. These vitamin-like materials. Your body thinks it's important. I think a lot of people are. Just a couple of years ago, 60 Minutes did a review on sugar, on refined sugar, and they said, yes, it is a poison. It's addictive. It lights up. It stimulates the brain in the same pleasure centers that heroin does. And it's a drug, and it's addictive. This is what the carbohydrate crisis, the carb crisis is all about. We are taking refined sugar upon sugar, over 200 pounds a year, and we're taking it in our bodies constantly, every day, and we end up with this inflammation as a result of this sugar, taking in this refined sugar. That's really what that's all about. The carb crisis, first of all, we eat way too much sugar. Secondly, we eat refined sugar, and then that results in the body reacts to that just like it was a poison. This is why we need these sugar chaperones, just like we need any vitamin. This is not a foreign concept. Everyone takes calcium. You can get calcium from dark green vegetables like spinach, or you can get it from milk products like cheese and liquid milk. But you must have vitamin D in order for that calcium to be processed properly. This is the same thing we're talking about here. You really must have these sugar chaperones in order to process these sugars properly. And without it, you go into inflammation, and that's what leads to the diabetes and the arthritis and the asthmas and the psoriasis and the headaches and the nervous disorders right down the line. The end result can be, and is very often, disease. Well, there's a lot of people that say, no, I don't have any disease. I don't have any diabetes. I might know some people that do. I'm not overweight. I don't have diabetes. I don't have arthritis. Well, I say to them, yeah, but I guarantee that you have chronic low-grade inflammation in your body, and you just don't recognize the problems. So I give them some Emulin. After a few days, they report back, wow, you know what? I'm sleeping better. My back problem has gone away. I have more energy. That's because they were able to get rid of that inflammation. It may not have expressed itself as a disease, but it expresses itself in these little quiet ways that you don't understand. So, Dr. Rajan, I'm going to call you back into history. You were in pretty good shape. People look at you and you say, wow, that guy looks pretty good. You know, he looks like an athlete, and you could compete with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I think. But
minus the muscles.
but you know, you didn't have all these issues. But what you did tell me,
Yes.
there's a couple of things that just sticks in my mind. You said, well, I'm going to first of all tell you, I woke up one day, it was like I was no longer in a fog. My clarity of thought, I didn't know that I was even having this fog in my brain, but I just one day said, man, I wasn't cured of a disease, but I can think now. So I'm thinking better when I'm awake, and when I'm asleep, I'm sleeping much more profound. And I bet you now, if you count the number of colds you've had and anything to do with your immune system, you were better. I think that you find that if you give it to your children, they'll have less sprains, they'll heal better, they'll have less colds because their immune system has come alive now and is functioning where it should happen. And this is all because of this carb crisis. We're really feeding ourselves poison. And even when you do your very best to not eat processed foods, and you do a good job to not add too much sugar, you can't avoid it. You're going to have to eat these foods on occasion. You can't just live off a piece of lettuce. Well, nature has provided us with carb managers. Well, okay, so then what in the world is the problem? They don't exist anymore. Okay, we discovered them, but they are in such small, minute quantities in the fruits and vegetables that are available today that you can't eat enough. You would actually have to eat about 10 or 20 pounds, 10 kilograms of grapes a day, and drink like 2 liters of green tea, and eat, 10 kilograms of onions to get enough in your body. And whoever intended to eat that way. And we have read this out accidentally, but on this until the last couple of years that there was a vitamin compound that we needed in our diets. So as fruits and vegetables larger and larger, sweeter and sweeter and prettier, we were accidentally breeding out these chaperones, these carb managers, and we've contributed to that carb crisis. Well, that's what Emulin is all about. It is simply these carb chaperones, these sugar chaperones that we're adding back to the diet. It's not something we're putting on top of the system, something artificial. No, these conditions that we all suffer from, it's not just from old age. It's because we've been feeding ourselves poison, and now we're getting arthritis. I just briefly tell you that my uncle, who's about 75, he was going in for knee replacement surgery because he'd had arthritis really bad, and he's in good condition, but his knee he just couldn't use anymore. So the doctor says, you've got to have surgery. Come in for surgery next month, 30 days later. And I got to him. I said, look, you need to take this Emulin. Take this right away. I had him take 4 capsules a day, 2 in the morning and 2 in the night. And he went back to have the surgery. I kept my mouth shut. And the doctor said, I don't understand. We've taken a new scan here, and you don't have any arthritis in your knee anymore. You have no need for the surgery. So, he signed up. He's real enthusiastic. Who wants to go through that stuff? Well, it was because he eats things that he eats oatmeal in the morning, and he has what he thinks are good breads, and you just can't do it. So now he's on Emulin, and he's doing exceptionally well. So Emulin is a way to get these natural components that we all need in our diet. Emulin E. What does that mean? Emulin E for everyone, because we have even made this formula better. We have added gallic acid to it. Gallic acid is a really historical, primitive flavonoid. Most people don't recognize it. It's in everything. Anything that's brown, like tea, even the dark brown waters that are in some of these rivers, that's all gallic acid. And you know, here in Florida, where we have a lot of native tribes here, Native Americans, they tell me that their forefathers used to actually drink that dark water because they knew that it would ward off disease. This is exactly what's going on here. We have added gallic acid, which is a great way to fight inflammation. That, remember what I just said, refined sugars lead to inflammation. It's the inflammation that breaks down your tissue that then leads to these diseases. Your body just constantly tries to get rid of that poison, and it ends up attacking its own tissues. We got to stop this. So I'm saying, look, everybody take Emylin. Emylin with gallic acid. It's Emylin E. E for everyone. So also gallic acid helps a lot of nervous disorders. I've seen great results for like Parkinson's disease because it really helps the nerves restore the insulation, if you will, on the wires, which are the nerves in our bodies. It helps restore that insulation and the nerves start functioning better. So Emylin E, gallic acid, Emylin E for everyone. Well, someone said to me this evening, well, I've got someone who they just had a kidney transplant. Should they take Emylin? Well, I get a little bit, I'm not going to say irritated, but I'm saying, well, are you listening to me? Emylin is like a vitamin. It doesn't matter if you had a new kidney put in or you had a new brain put in, or if you just are completely healthy. Everyone needs to be on Emylin. So yes, of course they need to be on Emylin. The number one reason for problems in organ transplant is rejection at the graft. And Emylin will manage that inflammation. Let's talk about just inflammation here. Forget the sugar part. Emylin helps manage that inflammation, and therefore the body will heal better, and that graft will take even better. So that was my answer. Everyone needs Emylin. You probably should take a double dose. So Emylin is for everyone under every condition, young, old, sick, healthy, athlete, or couch potato. Oh, did I mention potatoes? That's another big carbohydrate. A potato is just a pure ball of sugar. Avoid those if you can. It's better to eat like a sweet potato, which has more vitamins and minerals. It has carotenoids and lycopene in there, which are great antioxidants, and it has a lot of fiber. And yes, it does have some carbs. Don't eat one at every meal. But you should choose things that are fibrous rather than something like a potato, which is just about only carbohydrates, sugar. And they certainly need a sugar chaperone. And, you know, that brings me to another point. Emylin is for everyone. Everyone. Yes, kids, nursing babies, the mother, because she's producing the milk, the child, the adolescent, and their pets. Pets, too. They're mammals. Now, we get this, the products that are in Emylin, we say, okay, we're getting them from muscadine grapes. We're getting some of it from onions. Skins, but we're not really using the whole food. This is just the source. So these products are good, are okay for pets. There's no issues with giving pets these vitamin-like materials. So you can give Emylin to a pet, but you just got to go by the weight. It's a very simple formula. Very simple formula. For about every 100 pounds, you need to give one capsule. So if you have a large dog, a 100-pound dog, give them a capsule. And if it's a 50-pound dog, well, just break the capsule in half and give them a half capsule. And the kids, the same way. There's nothing special about this. Just divide it up by weight. For a 50-pound kid, it's a half a capsule. I give it to my granddaughter. She weighs 30 pounds. And you can't give them too much because you eliminated Either it migrates to the skin, or else you eliminate it in the urine. There's no way to overdose a pet or a child. So, if you're a really heavy set and you weigh 300, 350 pounds, yeah, you need to think about going up on your dose, because we've made these dose for an average person in average health. If you think you're having an issue with diabetes, or you're a little overweight, you need to increase your the amount that you take. So go to 4 capsules, and then you can get the effect. Okay, you can cut back and see how you're doing. So that's really what I want to leave to everyone tonight. And I also want to report that we just had some information come in that Emulin appears to stimulate human growth hormone. This is a really great idea, a good piece of information. Human growth hormone helps your body recover, grow new tissue, turn over those cells, especially for adolescents that are going through growth spurts. We have natural amounts, of course, of HGH, human growth hormone. But boy, this is like it energizes it and helps your body produce more. So you can actually, if you take, some people supplement themselves with human growth hormone and they report good results. But Emulin will do that. Emulin restores your body to where it needs to be, and your body will produce the proper amounts of hormones that it needs, and you will be a healthy individual. So I'm hoping that everybody listening to me gets this idea. We are in a carb crisis. We're flooding ourselves with sugar, even though when we try our very best to not do it. It's refined sugars are the worst. Try to avoid those. Nevertheless, everyone needs these sugar chaperones, these carb managers. You just don't get enough. The reason we're having these diseases is we don't have enough Emulin. I'm starting to recognize this as a flavonoid deficiency syndrome. That's really a great term. You're having these issues. You're not sleeping well. Your back is sore. Your back is swollen. It's inflamed. You're having psoriasis. You're having high blood sugar, high cholesterol. Why? Because you are flavonoid deficient. Flavonoid deficiency syndrome. Take Emulin and bring yourself into balanced, better health. So, I've talked a lot today at these public meetings that I just got out of, as I said. I've got to go back a little bit more and talk to some more people. So I hope this was useful for people on this call, and I do always look forward to talking to people. And I hope I'm able to meet everybody. If we can all try to come to meetings when they're available in your area. I'm going to try to go to as many as I can and answer even specific questions. But really, there's no question. Who needs Emulin? Everybody. Flavonoid deficiency syndrome. Everyone has it unless they're on Emulin.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe, there are a couple of questions coming in. And there's one as well which Rina will answer later, but let me just go at them one by one. It says, I missed the part about the comparison. Taking Emulin is like drinking how many liters of green coffee, or eating how many pounds of grapes, or how many pounds of onions?
About 20 pounds of grapes, and about 2 liters of green tea, and about 10 pounds of onions you would have to eat every day to get the same amount of these vitamins that are in those capsules.
Right. So 1 capsule of Emulin will give you 2 liters, equivalent to what you get in 2 liters of green tea, 20 pounds of grapes, or 10 pounds of onions, correct?
Yeah. Two capsules will give you that much.
2 capsules.
2 capsules.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Right. The next question is, what about people who experience high blood pressure and have to get off because nothing but going of inulin changes blood pressure?
Can you repeat that question?
That's how the question sounds. What about people who experience high blood pressure and have to get off? Okay. Because nothing but going off inulin changes blood. So I think she's saying that she took inulin and her blood pressure went up.
Okay. So I think this is a good way to approach it. If there appears to you, for whatever reason, that you have an adverse effect, which are extremely rare, because we have now had tens of thousands of people on this product. If you do feel that you're having an adverse effect, cut back on the inulin for sure. And then you can, and then wait a few days, you wait 4 days, then you should then add it back, maybe 1 capsule a day. And then after a couple of days, maybe a couple of capsules, and see if that does it for you. I feel that most people will find that they have no issues at all if they do that. But I always encourage people to consult with their physician. We are not and cannot be, for several reasons, anyone's personal physician, especially not over the phone like this. So I always say everyone should consult with their physician. If you feel that you're getting high blood pressure, then by all means cut back and then try to reintroduce it. And I hope that you're not one of the extremely rare people that might have a reaction like that. You know, Dr. Rajan, citrus is extremely good for you, as everyone knows. But there are some people that are allergic to citrus. So, you know, that's just the way life is. But we do these tests in clinics that can control every aspect, so we exactly know what is going on. And during those clinical studies, we did not see any adverse effects like that. And I encourage people to cut back and then try to restart it. Inulin, the components of inulin have been shown conclusively to lower blood pressure, and we have hundreds of reports. People can read these testimonials and see that people have been able to get off of blood pressure medications, including Jack Mountain, a very famous baseball player with the Boston Red Sox, who was going on high blood pressure medication. And he first said, no, let me try inulin. And he doesn't have to have those anymore. So that is an extremely rare case. Mostly inulin will return your blood pressure to normal.
Okay, thank you. Another question, what dose of inulin for people who got ulcers?
I guess this might be ulcers inside the digestive tract.
Yes.
Now, you know, if you were to open one of those capsules of inulin and just try to swallow it, that's not very pleasant. I mean, it'll burn you. It's just too caustic. You know, I'm reminded of Tabasco sauce. Hot sauce. I mean, we love this stuff. It's actually healthy for you. And we put it on our food. But if you put that stuff in your eye or just drink it straight down your throat, it's going to burn you up. So we put it in a capsule. And so hopefully that capsule doesn't dissolve until it gets into your stomach. But so you might have people that might have issues with acid reflux and things of that nature might experience some issue. But take it with food if you think that's a problem, and wash it down with your favorite beverage. I personally have every afternoon what I call my own health shake, like a smoothie that I make, and I throw in a banana and some milk or almond milk and a couple of capsules of inulin and blend the thing up. And that's actually how I take my own inulin. I just can't have, there's no way I'm going to have any problem. But, you know, dilute it with food if you need to. But inside your stomach, the pH of stomach is like 4. And there's cannot be any additional problem with acid by taking that inulin. But some people might have an experience of burning or ulcerated esophagus, and they should take that along with food. But again, If you think you're having a problem with Imulin, cut back on it. Certainly. We're not going to say just keep taking the stuff, and try different ways to take it. You know, Dr. Roger, we're working on different forms of Imulin, and we're going to have it in different things and shakes and bars and stuff in the future. That's coming in the future, but you'll have many different ways you can take it in the future.
Okay, another question. Why do people on a ketogenic diet have relief of aches, pains, and lose weight? That's the first question. Second one is, do they need Imulin if they're on a ketogenic diet, and why?
Well, a ketogenic diet, for those of you that do not know it, is it's a way for your body to not live off of glucose. And if you eat these foods that have glucose in them, all the ones I named, and it's very difficult to avoid that sugar, those carbohydrates, your body just burns that for energy, and you don't end up losing a lot of weight. When you go on a ketogenic diet, it's basically taking very little carbohydrates. It's around 20 grams a day, which is not much. I mean, that's as much as in just a couple of beers, for instance. And so it forces the body, since it can't find glucose, which it loves, it starts looking for it in other places, such as your fat. And that's why you will lose weight on a ketogenic diet, and your health will be much better because you have avoided carbs. Now, if you eat like 50 grams of carbs a day, which is still exceptional, that's pretty low. 50 grams a day of carbs, of these that I listed, if you actually saw the serving size and paid attention and ate 50 grams, that's a low-carb diet, but it's not enough to force your body into that ketogenic state, which your body's searching for carbs and starts drawing it down your fat stores. That's down into the 5 and 10 level. So you have low carb, which is really good, and then you have the ketogenic diet. So do you need Imulin if you're on a ketogenic diet? Well, remember, Imulin is not a weight loss product. Imulin is not a diabetes cure. Imulin is not a cure for arthritis. Imulin does manage sugars, so even if you're in low carbohydrates, it still manages those properly. You need this for any sugar in your diet. Plus, remember that inflammation. This is an inflammation manager. Yes, it has those two functions. It manages carbs, and that in itself leads to less inflammation. But it also manages inflammation that you get from anywhere, whether it's air pollution or the gases that come off of the carpets in your home, or the dust or pollen. All of that causes inflammation. And if you were around 10,000 years ago, you would be eating these primitive plants that had plenty of Imulin in them, and you wouldn't need to supplement yourself. We were made to be consuming Imulin, whether you're on a low-carb diet, a keto diet, or whatever. It manages inflammation. So, yes, you should take Imulin because it manages even the small amount of carbohydrates in a keto diet, and it needs to be there for your inflammatory system to properly function.
Okay, one more question. Can people over 80 who are on handful of or on many different prescription meds have a negative reaction when taking Imulin E?
We don't know of any, and even the work that we've done, we've gone further than that and looked at all scientific literature that we can from doctors around the world, and there are no reports of any type of drug interactions. However, having said that, there are two things to look out for. One of them is, if you are on any type of drug and you take Imulin, your body will heal and it will return to normal and it will become more healthy. That means most likely you will then need less of that drug. Let's look at the most extreme example. What if you were on insulin? You would never give insulin to a healthy person because it would drop their blood sugar drastically. So as your body heals from taking inulin, you would need to take less and less insulin. And that doesn't matter what kind of drug you're on, not just insulin, but a drug for high blood pressure, for arthritis, any of these drugs at all. You should monitor yourself. And as you get more healthy, you will need less of those drugs because you would not give those drugs to a healthy person. So that's the first case. As you get more healthy, you will need less of those drugs, so get rid of them. They have lots of side effects anyhow. Number two is if you're on blood thinners. And inulin makes your whole blood system, your vascular network, more healthy, more permeable, in a healthy, non-fragile state. You know, it's just flexible, very healthy. And because of that, if you're already on a blood thinner for clots, for instance, there could be some overreaction that your body would bleed too much if you got cut, for instance. So particularly there's a rat poison that is given to people as a blood thinner, warfarin. That particularly, if you're on that blood thinner, you should probably not take inulin while you're on that blood thinner, but you need to consult with your physician. And as we said earlier, work with your healthcare professional. So those are the two instances. If I was on warfarin, or if I was already on drugs and I got more healthy, I would look at cutting back those drugs. I'm not recommending to anyone to take inulin and then cut back their drug. I'm saying work with your healthcare professional.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Joe. I think as a company never recommend people do anything on their own. They should be talking to a doctor, their nurse, their pharmacist, and work with the healthcare team. They could approach us and we could talk to doctors, which we have done before, but always work with a healthcare professional. Inulin does not treat or cure disease. It merely helps the body return to normalcy by reducing the impact of sugar. One more question, Dr. Joe. Why are some people more overweight, and are they then more prone to addictions?
Yes, they are. Everybody is genetically different, one from another. There's not one size fits all. And I'll give you an example of cigarette smoking, any type of smoking. Everyone recognizes that smoking is related to lung cancer, a strong correlation. But the fact is, not everyone who smokes gets lung cancer. Furthermore, there are some people that get lung cancer that have never smoked. We are all different. There is one person could eat the same amount of food, a same amount of sugar, and they will gain so much weight. And another one would eat the same amount of sugar and gain a lot more weight. Our bodies are different in how we process all of these foods. I also mentioned, some people can be allergic to certain foods. But it's not just because they eat more that they might be overweight. Their body, the person that actually is heavier, their body actually is more efficient at getting the nutrition and the sugar out of food. And so they end up with way much more than they need. And then insulin comes around, seeing all that sugar, and puts it into fat. There also are people that are more strongly addicted to sugar, and they just can't hardly stop eating this sugar. That's the same. Going back to smoking. One person can smoke and be addicted and cannot quit smoking, and they need some type of medical intervention to help them. Other people can smoke all they want and they can put it down because they do not have an addiction to nicotine. This is how we are different one from another. So the answer is yes, people that are excessively overweight can have both. They can be more addicted to sugar, and they can process it differently and become more heavy with the same amount of food. Likewise, some people eat all they want and they remain thin.
Okay, another question. Can inulin help reduce fatty liver? I mean, remove the fat from the liver.
Yes, it can. Now, there is a point of no return on fatty liver disease. There is a point where you have so much scar tissue because of that, that you have actually replaced normal liver tissue with scar tissue. That's the big deal with fatty liver disease. It actually causes wounds that stretch, and then it's replaced with scar tissue, and that scar tissue has no function. It might as well be cancer. It has no function in the liver, and therefore the liver gets under great stress. But before you get to that point where there's scar tissue that has developed, absolutely inulin can help with this condition.
Okay, next question. There is no longer green tea in the product. Yes. I have someone who took 1 capsule per day and her blood sugar dropped. Any suggestions?
Well, I don't quite understand what the question is, because with that green tea, or whether it's green coffee bean extract, is that is our source of chlorogenic acid. And chlorogenic acid has a very nice effect on weight loss. And so if she took a capsule and she lost weight, I mean, that's great. But the problem is not because of inulin itself. We had some issues with the health authorities that did not want us to put green tea in the product because of the catechins that come along in green tea. We never had any catechins in there. Nevertheless, they wanted us to put caution labels on it. So then we just got our chlorogenic acid from another source, which is green coffee bean. We could also get it from honeysuckle flowers. The source doesn't really matter because we're using pure compounds. These are not just gross extracts of these different plants. It's similar to vitamin C, that you can get vitamin C from acerola, from rose hips. That's not normally a food, but there is some vitamin C in a bottle. It comes from rose hips, and some comes from citrus. It doesn't matter the source. What's important is the vitamin C. So likewise with our product, it doesn't matter the source of where we got. We're using pure compounds, in this case chlorogenic acid, and we are changing the source because of the some issues with the health authorities.
Okay, now just going back on that question on the blood sugar drop, apparently the blood sugar dropped quite a bit. And Dr. Joe, do you want to give advice on that?
Did it drop too much? Is this what's stated?
Yeah, apparently it dropped quite a bit, yeah.
Well, I can't examine the patient. It sounds to me there's got to be something else going on here.
Yeah, indeed.
You can't. Let's say you were able to consume those 10 pounds of grapes, that still wouldn't cause your blood pressure to drop. So I just know I really can't give any advice in that area. I'm sure there's something else here that we're just not seeing, or the patient doesn't know what's happened. I can't conceive of why the blood pressure would drop from Maricitin. You cannot overdose on this product because the excess goes to your skin or is eliminated in the urine.
Okay. Now, there's a question, Dr. Joe, and I'm going to help you with this because I'm aware of all the regulatory requirements around inulin in the last few months. Can Dr. Ahrens speak about why the formula has been changed again? It's now a lower amount of green coffee beans. Why are the other ingredients now listed as non-medicinal ingredients? Okay, there is no change in the formula. The formula is the exact same formula that we launched in Las Vegas. It contains a chlorogenic acid, a quercetin, maricitin, and gallic acid, right? There was a requirement in a Canadian situation for us to list this for a fast-track registration. So we listed this as non-medicinal ingredients, and we listed the green coffee extract as at the top, right? But the formula is the exact same, and you will see that in all the new formulas, you will see the exact formulation. So that's just a requirement by Health Canada that we complied with. But for the product now in the US and the rest of the world, we're going to publish the exact formula, right? So expect that in the next 1 or 2 weeks. But the formula has not changed from Las Vegas and is not likely to change in the near term. Dr. Joe, you want to add to that?
No, that's true. I actually had this same question about an hour and a half ago, looking at the milligrams of green coffee versus the milligrams of green tea extract. And just what you said, the actual formula is chlorogenic acid, myricetin, gallic acid here, and quercetin. And we want to keep that concentration the same. So we might have to use a little more of one over the other of these extracts to get you that same amount of pure product. So the formula has not changed. We have to just move this stuff around a little bit because of some regulations that really have nothing to do with us.
Yeah, and anyway, the new label will reflect that. So expect that, in the next few weeks. Now I'm going to pass as there are no more questions, I'm going to pass the call back to Rena. But I've been getting text messages and 2 emails and asking that we extend it for all of May. I checked with the warehouses we have stock. So this promo will continue for all of May, okay? All of May. So, Rena, I'm going to pass it back to you for you to wrap up. But once again, Rena, just tell them about the promo. And then in 2 weeks' time, we've got Dr. Stefano coming on to talk about Climax. Rena?
Thanks so much, you guys. I have another page full of notes. And thank you, Dr. Ahrens. You've been presenting all day and you still took the time to educate us. So I just want you guys to know the research and work you both do make Galen one of the most innovative biotech companies out there. And a massive thank you for the opportunity that we all have, every one of you on this call, to help people. And I absolutely love this business because the products we have is for everyone, your children, your unborn child, even your pets. And, the true reward of Galen, this business is really seeing people get back to balance, getting their health back, getting their life back, performing at work better, having better relationships, same with seeing my mom feeling better, being in a good mood, seeing her friends and family come out of chronic pain, walking out of their walkers or wheelchairs, their skin clearing up, or doing yoga poses they haven't been able to do for years. So could you imagine sharing this with everyone while earning extra income and having phenomenal tax write-offs on top of it? It's true. And I just want to go over quickly the spring promo again that Dr. Rajan has extended for another 2 weeks. So we're going to have it for another month. So get your pens out again. So promo number 1 is sponsor a gold distributor who buys 10 bottles of Emulin, and you will get 50% more business volume. So instead of 400 BV, you're going to get 600 BV. And your new distributor is going to get 2 free bottles of Emulin E. And trust me, I carry my Emulin with me everywhere I go because sometimes there's pop-up dinners or a meeting I have to go to or a dinner that I've skipped that I might have to eat something that I don't want to. I'll just pop in a couple extra Emulins. Promo 2 is sponsor platinum distributor for 20 bottles of Emulin E that they would purchase, and you'll get 50% more business volume. So you'll get 1,200 BV instead of 800 BV. And your new distributor is going to get 5 free bottles of Emulin E. And I tell you what, once you get on the Emulin, it's really hard to get off of it because of how good you feel. And so get back to the person that invited you. I also want to thank you all for being on this call, taking time out of your busy days, taking your business seriously. And thank you to Jacqueline, our administrator extraordinaire, for putting these calls together. Thank you again to the doctors and our scientists and for our guests. If you're new on here, kind of sitting on the fence, please get back to the person that invited you. And don't hesitate to come on board. There are people looking for this product and looking for this opportunity. And you want to make sure that they hear it from you first because this is so ground floor. So take care until our next call, which is going to happen May 14th. So mark that in your calendars. Invite all your friends and family, all the people you love. And with that being said, good morning, good evening, and good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Many blessings to you all. Bye.